everything in patch 10.2.5 and what you can do. Yeah, let's see. You're getting into WoW again for the first time, or you just been playing this entire time like the degenerate you truly are. Let's see what you can get done now, starting today in 10.2.5.
Welcome back. It's time for the big 10.2.5 video. We've got new story, new systems, what even looks like a test of a revamped archaeology, and a wealth of things to check out. Today you're going to learn everything that you need to know, as well as locations of many handy items for you to pick up. So let's slam the feature counter on screen and get stuck in.
A feature
Largest
counter.
Is the Reclamation of Gilneas, one of the rare times that we actually see the core world be advanced, but of course,
I'm blocking it.
with
Let me move it
Midnight
up.
and Last Titan doing Quel'Thalas and Northrend, it's kind of just the start of that. Now, this quest is available for Alliance and Horde. There are worries there, given some promotional images and the Forsaken's actions during Cataclysm. I do understand people's worries. Chances are Blizzard wants this to be content for everybody.
I don't know anything about this yet.
Forsaken to perhaps make some amends, and a little dash of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Regardless, though, I'm keen to see what they've cooked up. Gan has been relegated to gruff onlooker for far too long. Now he's active enough to check out bellular.ghost.io and support the show.
They're not that long.
That's where he and you will get early content as soon as it's made. The Lore Walking podcast, where we're about to kick off our special series on the Second War, and a whole load more. Check out the links down below. I'll see you over on the Members Lounge Discord. Next, there's a short Dragonflight epilogue quest chain that takes you around the place, including to Belemeth. It sets some stories to rest, and it's got
gotta get the new Night Elf City open. Gotta cut the ribbon.
Which is where Blizzard often like to foreshadow some future lore. Now, there's one thing to be quite suspicious of. Take a look at the marketing materials, and you do see Virinoth and a Ridicron on the infographic. Of course, a Ridicron is through that void portal, presumably not to be seen again during this expansion, and given his words, he may even be part of the Last Titan expansion. So, yeah, expect something interesting.
I actually don't think he's going to make it that far. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to make it that far. I feel like he's going to be the War Within final boss. We'll kill him at some point. We'll figure out his plan and everything, but I don't know if he's going to get all the way to the Last Titan
During
expansion.
this epilogue, we'll stop off at Belemeth, a new Night Elf settlement. And while you're there, why not steal some of the stuff the elves have left laying around? Yes, these are rewards you can get, and they're perfect for any Night Elf-themed transmog. There's a bedroll, a backpack,
you also get the backpacks,
spear, bow, knife, shield, as well as spy glasses, signal horns, and some pouches.
Get your Night Elf cosplay.
You can pause and take a look at the coordinates. They're on screen right now, or you can just explore the area and take a look at your mini-map because they appear as treasures on it. The Horde can go here as well, but talk to Archdruid Rune Totem and you'll see that you definitely have to be on your best behavior, and you will have the Eyes of the Sentinels debuff on your character.
That's for the Horde.
Now, Belemeth is also really handy for travel. There's a host of portals to and from Stormwind, Hyjal, Darkshore, Feathermoon Stronghold, Val'Shara, and the Emerald.
I've had to I've had to go back in Hearthstone or go back to Valdrakken every time I want to go back to Stormwind. So this actually is pretty nice for travel.
If you're a druid, you can teleport to the Dreamway if you've done, of course, the Legion class hall quest stuff, which does give you
if the Darnassus portal still takes you
to the other end of the Dragon Isles, which is dead handy. Let's talk gameplay. Azerothian Archives is all about cosmetics. 0 player power, but I think the cosmetics look great. So here's how it works. This is an event that will take place each hour here in Crater's Rest. It's got a reputation rather similar to the Time Rift feature, with 5 levels: Junior, Capable, Learned, Resident, Tenured. And if you do everything and complete the meta achievement, you will get the Isles Archivist title. So, what do you actually do? Essentially, this event, like with the Rifts, launches every hour. Now, you may have heard that it starts 5 minutes after the last one has been completed. That appears, though, to just be a thing that they did in PTR for the sake of testing. So it's hourly. And in terms of how it works, it's kind of like the Tuskar Feast. An NPC will give you tasks. These can be group or solo. You'll collect things, uncover things, and you'll use some new-ish mechanics, like using a scanner to find relics, helping some familiars, and an excavation minigame. Now, reading in between the lines of interviews, these all feel like tests for future archaeology mechanics. I suppose we can hope that's a War Within patch feature, maybe. Anyway, as you do this, you'll fill a bar. As you fill that bar, you will get tomes of various qualities. There are green ones that give you 25 rep and 50 fragments, blue ones that give you 50 rep and 100 fragments, and finally purple ones with 100 rep and 300 fragments. Now, when you open these tomes, in addition to the rep and the fragments, you can get some loot. As an example, this really nice sort of explorer's set recolor, so that's great. And of course, the Clayscale Hornstrider. Now, at the end of the event,
that Hornstrider is freaking hideous. I really don't care to get this thing. It looks like a rubber chicken. But this looks cool. I want to wander around Silithus in this. This looks like a great explorer, Indiana Jones-esque Transmog, I like it.
Clayscale Hornstrider. Now, at the end of the event, Doom Shadow spawns, kill it, and when you do, you'll get another 1,000 pages, which will fill whatever tome you're on. And that's basically how this event works.
Shadow Flame monster.
But Blizzard have also fixed a rather large problem. What if there are barely any players at the event? Wouldn't that basically kill this feature? The answer, thankfully, is no, because this time they've actually increased the amount of pages rewarded after completing a task based on the player count.
Oh, that's
nice. So essentially, if there's barely anybody there, your progress will be accelerated so that it's actually a reasonable thing that you can go and do. So absolutely, let's hope they bring this to the other events that they've put into the game.
Yeah,
There's also an account-wide weekly quest that gives you 3,000 rep and 5,000 fragments. And there's an...
Bro, when I read this at first, I was like, what? I read it a different way, and I'm pretty sure that's intentional by Blizzard. Goodbye, you.
Item that
Good job,
transfer
Blizzard.
Fragments between your characters with 0 penalty. Taking a look at the rewards
That's
then
some
on the vendor,
old-style
I think
Blizzard
they're pretty
quest
great.
right there.
There's this big mount as well as the Historian Transmog, along with a backpack, a hat, some really nice sets of glasses,
This mount actually looks
a snazzy
cool.
red
Kinda want
backpack,
it.
and some archaeology tool-themed weapon mogs. Overall then, much to do, and to be honest for me, the Time Rift feature was kind of like crack somehow, so I'm glad that something sort of like it is here. And given that this is all based around a single dig site, you really do have to imagine this is some sort of test for what a future archaeology revamp looks like. Okay, next, massive feature for the game, follower dungeons.
By the way, that stuff is like every hour or something you could do it. Kind of like the tree event, I believe.
This is a new feature that works with the 8 original Dragonflight dungeons. To do these, just select Follower Dungeon in the Dungeon Finder drop-down menu, select your role, and the rest will be filled with NPCs, and it even works if you've got some other players in your group. And
have any of you guys tested this out yet?
Decently smart. They'll buff you at the start. They'll give you mage tables, that sort of thing. And when you're doing the dungeon, you can see a new extra action button that basically toggles between the NPCs leading the party or you leading the party.
Gotta have the tank leading the party.
And that kind of thing.
Gotta have
Overall, then, looking pretty great. Now, there's a limit of 10 of these per day.
It was supposed to be every 15
and I've got to
minutes,
imagine
for the
that's to clamp
archaeology
down
stuff.
on some like automated dungeon farming that people might do. So is this a super relevant feature to most people now? I mean, no, not really, unless you want to do leveling and just knock out those dungeon quests solo without having to wait for a queue, or maybe you want to farm out some mogs. But clearly, though, for me, this is a War Within thing, where the War Within dungeons will ship.
Imagine the NPCs vote to kick
when
you.
you're leveling up fresh characters, you don't have to rely on other people to do those dungeon quests. This is something that Final Fantasy XIV pretty damn successfully did.
You can
the players
get kicked?
really
What? How?
appreciate it. As an example, I was using that feature when leveling an Endwalker because I just wanted to dive into the dungeons and soak them up as a part of the narrative as I was leveling up, and they were really good for that. Next, WoW movement...
that's what I think. Those NPC dungeons, like, I'm not going to be a person who does NPC dungeons all day, but one thing they're nice for is when you're doing the quest lines for the first time in any new expansion or anything, you could just do the dungeon part. You know how there's always that part in the quest line, the storyline, where like, okay, go in the dungeon and do it now? Now you could just queue up with NPCs and do it. You don't got to wait for somebody.
Is changing forever, where worldwide dragon riding is a thing. This is rather massive.
This is going to be weird. I'm going to get in the game and do this. It's going to be weird.
Going from point A to point B in any continent will never happen
dragon riding everywhere.
And in the War Within, they will update this and rename it to Dynamic Flight, and you'll be able to toggle it on and off with almost any mount in the game. For now, though, it is
I need to get
your dragon
invincible.
riding
I just need to make it happen.
It is limited to 85% speed, so as to not trivialize zones, but honestly, don't really worry about that. It is still a humongous speed boost compared to anything you would have been used to.
I've heard you can't even notice the reduction.
It does require the usual account-wide unlock for the Isles, and if you have already unlocked it and are leveling an alt, and that alt is below level 60, it can actually still use your dragon riding mounts. They just will be operating the old style of static flight. Next, then, for the Drakthir, amazing news, empowered soaring is a thing. It replaces your old soar mechanic, and it basically works just like
dragon ride everywhere as a Drakthir now.
It's a big win, and it's a win that Druids will be sharing in when
this was like how it originally was, and then Blizzard like nerfed it when it was in beta or on the PTR or whatever. They nerfed this, but this now your actual racial ability makes sense. You can actually dragon ride as a Drakthir.
Flight form gets upgraded to Dynamic Flight in 11.0. And that's actually not all for flight. The
makes so much
Cup
more sense.
brings 13 races in 3 variants, as well as a bunch of new rewards. There's the Outlandish Drake Racer set, plus this awesome-looking scarf, along with the manuscript of Endless Possibility, which adds a toggle ability, which you can turn on to randomize your dragon's appearance every time you mount up.
Oh,
if you do all races
that's kind
in
of
gold,
cool.
you'll get the Outland Racer title and the Ruby Riders of Azeroth Tabard. Then we have some improvements.
So you basically call a random dragon every time based on all the unlocks you have cosmetically? Yeah. Each time you mount customize, that's pretty cool. Shit, I didn't even know about that.
Quest like breadcrumbs you to all of the races that are available, and it gives you 40 badges. Then
oh wow,
for
flying
balance,
by the dark
it
portal.
actually gives everybody essentially maxed out dragon riding abilities. Then if you haven't unlocked dragon riding, you'll actually be loaned a dragon for each race, and because of worldwide dragon riding, you won't be dismounted after you do a race. Overall, pretty damn neat. You can go and do that for 2 weeks, and let's hope the other cups actually come back in soon. Next then, a few game systems. The Revival Catalyst now gains 1 charge per week,
weekly
up
charges.
from a charge every 2 weeks, which is really good for tier catch-up, and even if you just want to like quickly get those tier set appearances.
Yeah, that's what I use it for.
Okay, UI then. So, number 1, there's a new instance indicator that denotes difficulty and player count. Then the Trading Post store has got more clear UI to show you what's in collection. Then we've got the Traveler's Log, which is nicer in a few ways. As an example, time-limited objectives are a good bit more clear. And they've also updated the edit mode snapping, right? So basically, snapping to the intersections of grid lines, then the center of frames snapping to grid lines, and the edges of frames
I got rid of a lot of add-ons because of
vertical center lines, which altogether is just kind of nice. Then they've also added a preview for the light and dark mode quest text options. All right, cosmetics. There's actually quite a lot here because there are events, some changes, and just some new things for you to get. And I'll kick it off with character and pet stuff. So, in 10.2.5, we're getting 5 new troll hair colors, a darker Draenei skin color, as well as 5 tyrant options and 11 dark glares for the warlocks to choose from.
The warlocks get
everything
nice cool in the game,
it covers
man.
just a bunch of old and new models
Those
as well.
are so badass looking.
Then we have a Hearthstone event. So Hearthstone is almost 10 years old, and on March 11th, there'll be an event in-game. We don't know exactly what it is, but we have seen some data mined rewards. As an example, here's a really cool looking flying disc. There's also a red version of the Hearthsteed, hat, tabards, a Sarge pet, and a 36-slot bag and a cosmetic Hearthstone.
That's right, the Hearthsteed
Then
was
for those that have
before.
done 12 trading posts and have unlocked the new Warden set, actually good news because in 10.2.5,
the regular
you're
colors
going to
of
be getting, just like by default,
solid color.
Day and night version of the set that are completely static and won't color change, meaning, yeah, your Mog isn't just going to suddenly be broken whenever the day changes. Then another
Has anyone seen what this set looks like on an orc? I just feel like it's going to be very awkward. I mean, if you're a night elf, of course, you should transmog into this and, RP as a warden for a little while on Moonguard, but otherwise, it's just, it's probably not a set I'm going to put on my human death.
And that is that Covenant abilities are being rethemed. Because realize if you don't want to be reminded of the Shadowlands all the time. So yes, all Covenant abilities that were carried into Dragonflight as a part of talent trees such as the Hunt, Divine Toll, or Convoke, and many, many others, they're all now themed to their classes instead of Covenants, and it just looks great. That said, if you did like the old Covenant appearances,
did I admit it?
future patch will add the ability to switch back. The next Pepe, not that one, there are 3 Pepe-themed outfits, one for Alexstrasza, Explorers, and Tuskar, and you can see where to pick them up on screen. These are, of course, Cuteness Overload, and maybe this is the last of the Tuskar that we'll be getting until we arrive back in Northrend for the last.
Tuskar will go live as a playable race before the end of Dragonflight. Mark it, bookmark it, ship it.
Titan. And finally, Love's in the air with February, and there are a bunch of reward updates. Basically, we don't know how these will be split up between the actual event and the
Sailor Moon outfit.
Post.
That's awesome.
But if you like Sailor Moon, then there certainly are Mog sets for you, and there's these really nice Fox mounts that just look really nice. Plus, Love's in the Air itself has got some new quests, so definitely worth checking out. So, that is it for this patch. What next then? Well, patch 10.2.6 will hit the PTR very soon. That's basically how they have to run things because their patch cadence is, just so aggressive. Also, we'll probably get a marketing wave soon to actually explain what this patch is going to be. Of course, all we've got so far is a season roadmap image. It does seem pirate themed though, and if season 4 is to drop shortly afterwards, then maybe we're going to see some sort of I don't know, pirate invasion of our raids to change them up. Anyway, it won't be long until we see 10.2.7 Darkheart. That will be taking any Iridikron and Xalatath related hints that we see in the epilogue questlines in this patch, and it'll do something with them to set up the War Within, which of course is something Blizzard have already been doing, because if you've completed the Guardians of the Dream patch in the very final questline, when everybody's having a big party underneath the tree, number 1, Khadgar says that there is dark whispers going on, and he's going to check in with an old friend about that, and then Thrall and Jaina both get visions, which essentially are the early versions of the visions that Thrall and Anduin get in
lore. Very nice, very nice.
At BlizzCon. So, many lore things are going
so
on,
cute.
thanks for watching today's video.
Yeah, he's
and
adorable.
if you want to learn more about Xalatath, check out this video next. That's it from me. I'll see you over there.
They actually got a Sailor Moon reference? Really? I didn't know that. Yeah, great video. Cool features. It's a 0.5 patch. Let's not forget. Let's have some perspective here. This is 10.2.5. I feel like there's so many features lately in 0.5 patches. It's been really nice. These things used to be nothing.